Good morning. I'm Jan Brown. Welcome to MHP Building Dreams Benefit Breakfast. I am a proud resident of the Bonifant in downtown Silver Spring, Maryland. That's apartment city living for seniors. This MHP property has been my home for 7 years, and I have made many great friends. I've also become involved as an MHP board member, and that role has further connected me with this wonderful organization. I'm thrilled to be with you today. And now it is my pleasure to introduce my friend, Tom Bozzuto.
Thank you, Jan. Good morning. I'm Tom Bozzuto, chairman and co-founder of the Bozzuto Group. MHP is one of my favorite nonprofit housing providers. I feel a very personal connection to MHP for a number of reasons. First, MHP and Bozzuto were formed within a year of each other, 1988 in our case and 1989 in theirs. And we built the very first MHP project, Dreams Reach, and we continue to build for MHP to this day, a fact of which I'm very, very proud. While Bozzuto builds housing that spans many income levels, MHP shares our commitment that home should be one sanctuary, a place of well-being. This commitment also aligns with MHP's vision of home as a part of a neighborhood where all residents can thrive. Finally, I'm especially gratified that several of my Bozzuto colleagues have actively served as members of MHP's board of directors. Jan?
It is our pleasure to introduce someone who has been a supporter of MHP for a long time. Many of us have seen him at various groundbreakings, ribbon cuttings for MHP developments. He has even visited us at the Bonifant.
Please join us in welcoming County Executive Mark Elrich.
So nice to be here this morning. It's still early by my standards, but it's good to be here. A couple of things I want to say. One, hearing Londring's name brings me back to, because before there was MHP, there used to be an interfaith housing coalition, and we used to meet in a church on Sligo Avenue in Silver Spring, and those were the kind of the early discussions about what do we do about affordable housing in Montgomery County, and how do we put this together? And out of that came this. And so it's nice to hear Lon's name still out there, because he was a real force in moving this forward. And I think that, I think all of us will remember him for that. I want to thank MHP for its work, and I think we all agree everybody deserves a place to live, and that becomes harder and harder as housing prices continue to rise. When I was on the council, and I continue as an executive to use something Ron once said at the council meeting when he talked about how many affordable housing units the county had lost between, I think back then it was between 2000 and 2015, but it was like half of all the affordable housing units in the county. And we know from the statistics that Park and Planning produced that we've gone from about 42,000 naturally occurring in 2000 to 21,000 naturally occurring in 2020, with a projected going below 10,000 affordable housing units by 2030. And so that natural supply has been diminishing, and the new supply does not match the loss of the natural supplies. So there's some urgency to the work we do. And it impacts everybody. It impacts the workplace, and the ability to attract talent and have talent that's close to here. The problem is broader than just low-income people. It's in a place like Bethesda. If you make too much for an MPDU, you don't make enough money in many cases for a market rate unit. And so there's absences in the what supply of housing at a couple of ends, and those are things we really need to address. The county continues to support groups like MHP to make sure they can do their work. We are actually modifying and strengthening our right of first refusal. One of the ways that we're able to do projects in Montgomery County is to acquire properties when they go on the market and then work with our nonprofit partners. And I remember, again, back in the old days when I was on the council, Rob would come to me and say, there's this building we'd like to get. We've run out of money. Is there anything you can do to get the county executive to find money? I wasn't the county executive then. Now we know how hard it is as a county executive to find money. It is not as simple as just saying, can you find us money? Money is actually a thing you have to find. But we're working on that. We're going to strengthen it, and we're looking at, how we help fund new development and renovations, and we're doing serious pilot agreements. I'll say this, the landscape in Montgomery County is a lot stronger now than it was before, and I feel pretty safe in saying we could build anything we could fund. There was a time when attitude and willingness to do things was also an obstacle. I don't think there's an obstacle to doing anymore. I think the obstacle is, can we get the money into a capital stack that'll make that stack affordable for building affordable housing, and that's the challenge we have. So we're working with MHP. We continue to talk about what are innovative ways of Montgomery County strengthening its access to capital. We work with many other groups. It's the same challenge, but we think we've got some pretty strong partnerships, and we're confident that we're going to be able to continue to expand our resources. Fortunately, the county's been fairly healthy. Despite COVID and despite the downturn, our revenues have been strong enough that we haven't had to walk away from the affordable housing stuff. And that would be last on my list of things to cut if the county were to have a difficult time. Probably that and early childhood education. But there are a couple of things that just matter, and you have to keep doing it, and you have to divert resources to those areas if you're going to be meaningfully spending your money. So that's a priority for me. MHP is providing over 2,800 affordable homes, and I laud them for the goal of doubling what they've produced by the end of this decade. That would be a great accomplishment, and it's something we want to be a part of. And I want to thank Tom Bozzuto for their partnership in helping put together this fundraiser every year, because this is big for MHP. They really do need the money. I think all of you know where the money's going. This isn't one of those things where you wonder how your money's going to end up being spent. You know that every dollar that goes into the organization is going to wind up strengthening their ability to do affordable housing in the county. So I want to thank MHP for making an impact in Montgomery County and a strong impact here. I want you to know that I'll continue to be a partner and make sure we build as many things as we can possibly build. And you're going to see me leave because I have to go down to a regional discussion about transportation. I think, we've got this other little minor crisis knocking on our door in the next couple of weeks. And so we're trying to marshal people's will to make sure you don't lose your major transit system in the DC region, because I think we all know what a negative impact that would have on everything we're trying to do. So I'm happy to be here this morning, and thank you very much.
Sorry about that. Thank you, Mark. Good morning to you all, and thank you for joining us today for MHP's Building Community Fulfilling Dreams benefit. My name is Bill Caldwell, and I serve as MHP's board chair. I also serve as Chief Development Officer at Edens. A company with a purpose to foster community engagement through thoughtful design and programming of our spaces. Edens is the owner and developer and steward of more than 100 open-air retail and mixed-use places nationally. You might have visited some of our spaces: Union Market in Washington, the Mosaic District in Fairfax, Cabin John Village, and under redevelopment, Burtonsville Crossing here in Montgomery County. My first introduction to MHP was an invitation to a Fulfilling Dreams breakfast many years ago. I was very impressed with what I heard and became a table captain the following year. Board membership followed several years later after a conversation with Lisa Rother, our former board president. I also joined the real estate committee and was immediately impressed with the sophistication of the team. To put together financing packages for housing preservation and new construction, it is necessary to create complex bundles of sources of money to develop projects so that rents can remain affordable. I am constantly amazed at the work of the real estate team in making deals happen, and I'm excited about the plans going forward to increase the number of units in MHP's portfolio. Since 1989, MHP has delivered on the promise of its mission by housing people, empowering families, and strengthening neighborhoods all around our area. I would like to take a moment to recognize MHP's current and former board members for their volunteer service and thank them for helping to lead this wonderful organization. We are still building on the vision of the people who sat around a table 34 years ago and committed to address affordable housing needs of our neighbors. They were truly visionaries, and we are thankful for their boldness and commitment. Board members, would you please rise? Thank you. We wouldn't be able to do all the work we do without our supporters, many of whom are here today. Our philanthropic leaders include Amazon Housing Equity Fund, Bozzuto, Meyer Foundation, Helene Goldberg, Greater Washington Community Foundation, Kaiser Permanente, Montgomery County Economic Development, Morgan Stanley, Cafritz Foundation, NeighborWorks America, Shatner Foundation, Gene Siegel and Tom Trainer, State of Maryland, TD, Wells Fargo. We'd also like to thank the companies that sponsored this breakfast. Thanks to their financial support, 100% of your gifts will go toward our programs. Special thanks to AGM Financial, AMT, Ballard Spar, Bellwether Enterprise, Bowman Consulting, Book Construction, Carpet and Wood Floor Liquidators, Don and Ann Haig, Donaldson, Donahoe, Harkins Builders, Hazen, JBG Smith, Kaufman Fund for Education, Klein Hornig, KeyBank, Law Office of Kenneth Techler, MHG, Negril Jamaican Eatery, Offutt Kerman Attorneys at Law, Pettit Family Charitable Foundation, Residential One, Sandy Spring Bank, the Traffic Group, Village Settlements, and of course, we also must thank our table captains who invited you here today. This wonderful event simply could not have happened without their commitment and dedication to MHP. Finally, we are honored to have a few special guests with us here today. Tacoma Park Council members Shana Fulcher, Kara Honzak, and Tacoma Park Mayor Talisha Searcy. Okay. Thank you. Now, please welcome Reverend Rachel Cornwell as we pause for the invocation.
Good morning. Would you please join me in just a moment of reflection this morning? God of us all, as you spoke to the prophet Isaiah of a dream where people could live in peaceful dwelling places, secure homes, and in undisturbed places of rest, we give thanks for gathering us together today to help make that dream a reality. You call all of us, as neighbors and citizens of this county, to stand shoulder to shoulder for one another, to close the gaps between the rich and the poor, the housed and the unhoused, so that everyone may live in peaceful dwelling places. Grant us the strength to persist in this work, moving our county towards greater equity and justice. And may this fellowship today strengthen all of us to resist apathy and hopelessness. We pray this as people guided by faith, hope, and love. Amen.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Please continue to eat, but I will be saying a few remarks here. So I want to welcome everyone to MHP's annual Building Community, Fulfilling Dreams benefit event. The theme of our breakfast today is making home possible for all. You may have also noticed that the visual theme of today's breakfast is a mosaic. And it reminds me of a recent trip I took to Philadelphia and saw some of the most amazing mosaics. That within these mosaics were hundreds, thousands of pieces filled with colorful ceramic and glass shapes. Some were broken and jagged, smooth, square, round, you name it. But the more the artist varied the elements, the richer and more expressive the mosaics became. MHP's residents embody such mosaics. They come from many different backgrounds, they have varying needs, and they face a multitude of challenges. Each has their own story to tell. Making home possible for all highlights the inclusive nature of our work and our commitment to serve all of our residents. 3 years ago, with the onset of COVID, you all answered the call for support and came together to help us in an extensive outreach effort to help our residents in one of their darkest moments. With your help, we signed up residents for unemployment insurance and rental assistance. We held food distributions and COVID vaccine clinics. We got iPads and internet hotspots so the kids could go to school. And we continued our after-school academic enrichment programs virtually. Together, we made a big difference in many people's lives. Unfortunately, our work is not done. There are too many families who are still struggling. There are too many people who are still facing difficulties finding a job. There are too many people who have a job who have seen their hours cut. And that if you add to that rising inflation, there are too many families who have to make the most difficult of choices between paying their rent and paying for food, clothing, and medical care. Some people are spending 50, 60, even 70% of their income towards rent. According to the National Low-Income Housing Coalition, here in Maryland, 41% of low-income families are rent burdened, and that means they spend more than 30% of their income towards rent. For extremely low-income renters, that number jumps up to 80% of households that are rent burdened. How can they save? How can they improve their financial circumstances if so much of their income is going to pay for rent? MHP's work is crucial today, and that's why we remain committed to our mission of housing people, empowering families, and strengthening neighborhoods. With your help, we have accomplished a lot in all three areas in the last year. In terms of housing people, we completed a transformative renovation of the Colonnade at the Creek, a 96-unit apartment complex in Tacoma Park. We began construction of the residences at Forest Glen, a redevelopment that had us knock down a dilapidated 70-unit apartment building, while we now work to build 180 homes in its place, all within walking distance of the Forest Glen Metro. And we began the renovation of Worthington Woods, a development with 394 homes in the Congress Heights neighborhood of Washington, D.C. In terms of empowering families, with your support, we launched an online scholarship portal, providing tailored resources for our young residents so they could fulfill their dream of going to college. We expanded our community life programs to include Rollingwood Apartments, and we served over 400 children in our preschool and after-school programs. In terms of strengthening neighborhoods, with your help, MHP has responded to 4 devastating fires over the last few years, collecting and distributing more than $1 million to the victims impacted by these fires. We brought the community together through some beloved events, such as the Long Branch Festival, outdoor movie nights, a 5K run, and much more. And we began an exciting effort to restore the historic Flower Theater in Long Branch, so the theater could begin to become the center of activity in the community once again. Thanks to your help, MHP is having a huge impact in our community. But at the end of the day, it's also about the impact we have on individuals and their lives. Individuals like Andrea. When I first learned about Andrea, I was moved by her story. You see, when Andrea turned 18, she had to leave her home, and she had nowhere to go. She was homeless. For an 18-year-old girl, that was especially traumatic. Through some relatives and other means, she got a few temporary places to live, but none of them were ideal, and none of them were permanent. And while she got a job to support herself, it was not enough to pay for an apartment in Montgomery County. She was struggling to survive. Fortunately, our outreach team was connected with Andrea and immediately provided hands-on support. We helped her sign up for resources in the county, and we provided her with some gift cards to buy groceries. Since MHP had just completed the renovation of the Colonnade at the Creek, our team helped her sign up to apply for an apartment. And I'm happy to report that she now lives in a wonderful one-bedroom apartment at the Colonnade at the Creek and only pays 30% of her income towards rent. Andrea recently wrote us a note that said, "I want to give a big thank you. My whole life, I felt alone and that the world was against me. And you just reminded me that there are still good people in the world. Bless your heart because you've blessed my day. Thank you." While we have accomplished a lot in the last year and served many people like Andrea, there's still more work to be done. Through your help, we can double the number of new and preserved affordable housing units and homes within the decade in MHP's portfolio, making home possible for more people. Together, we can close the learning gap for low-income youth and broaden our community life programs to more sites. With your help, we can scale up our neighborhood strengthening efforts and affect change across entire communities. And we can continue to serve the needs of our residents through food distributions, rental assistance, and job counseling. And begin an exciting new community health worker program to help connect residents with health resources and access to medical care. These goals are ambitious, and later in the program, we'll have an exciting announcement on how you can support our efforts to reach these big goals. While MHP is making home possible for all, we can't do it alone. Help us make a difference in somebody's life. Help us invest in our children's future. And help us serve the vibrant mosaic of residents in our community. Through your support, we will succeed. Now, I leave you today with a famous quote by Martin Luther King, Jr. He said, "We are now faced with the fact that tomorrow is today. We are confronted by the fierce urgency of now. In this unfolding conundrum of life and history, there is such a thing as being too late. This is no time for apathy or complacency. This is a time for vigorous and positive action." Thank you. I am now thrilled to present this year's mission video, which highlights the commitment and dedication of MHP staff and shows the impact that your support can have on someone's life. Thank you.
We have people from different walks of life who live at our property. I love to see the smile on their faces. MHP make that happen. Making home possible for all, it means the world to me.
Making home possible for all means ensuring that our community has diverse voices, diversity, inclusivity, people who can span all races, all nationalities, all income levels can live together in harmony.
For more than 34 years, MHP has been preserving and expanding access to quality, affordable housing. And we strongly believe in our mission of housing people, empowering families, and strengthening neighborhoods.
1, 2, 3.
This is really an exciting day.
The fact that we're gonna triple, literally, housing in this spot near the metro is a huge deal.
But this doesn't happen by chance, it happens by choice. Choices that are made by visionaries like Rob Goldman and MHP, choices to the entire staff for working at a mission-driven organization like this.
1, 2, 3.
MHP moved into my first neighborhood on Glenville Road in Silver Spring when I was 3 years old. I'm not sure how, but all the kids in my street got wrapped into MHP programs. Homework Club at MHP helped me prepare for college. I am enjoying my major. My engineering class is really fun. A lot of my teammates are also mechanical engineers, so we study together. And Miss Connie was a big help when I was doing Homework Club at MHP. She was more than a teacher. She was like a second mom to me. She would help me with my homework, and she would also help me with, just basic life advice. Till this day, she still checks up on me and makes sure that I'm doing okay.
I am a very passionate person. I love helping people. And I did my research and I saw that MHP was doing a lot for residents, the community, and I love that. So I wanted to be a part of that team.
To serve, you have to have a servant's heart. You have to have a sense of humility and willingness to put others before yourself. And I've seen time and time again through the engagements that I've had with MHP staff that they do have that servant's heart to say, I'm going to take myself out of this and really focus on the mission, which is how can we move this project forward to provide housing to the people who really need it.
This one resident, he's an elderly guy. We help him with rental assistance. And then I'm like, wait, you might qualify for Social Security income. And he said, well, I've applied before and they denied me. I said, no, let's go this time. And I said, I will go along with you as a support and probably ask questions that maybe you're not thinking about at the moment. So I went there with him and they said, okay, well, we will call him. And they called him and he was so thankful. And it just brought so much joy to my heart knowing that I'm helping him do something and, and it's moving. He feels supported, and that's a great part of our work. When our resident feels supported, it makes me happy.
What woke me up was a loud boom. I opened the door and then I look out and I see people running around and I turn and I'm like, oh my God.
She started crying and she tells me, I think the building's on fire. I said, what? What are you doing calling me? Get out of the building.
So I started screaming to the people down there. I was like, can you help us please, help us please.
I can see the smoke from work, so now I know the building's on fire.
I ran out with her, ran down the stairs, and I was like, oh.
Our condo was completely on fire. And in my mind, my wife and my kid is in there. My wife comes with Ava, and I'm hugging her, and I'm hugging Ava.
Your organization was there, and they were handing out checks.
I got to meet the St. George family. They were just very thankful to know that there's someone who cares.
You just lost everything. You don't know how to think.
MHP stepped in by saying, hey, we have some properties.
MHP was there. I think it's a beautiful organization, and I think that it's very much needed, especially for disasters like this that you never think could happen or would happen to you. I mean, one day everything's normal and the next day you're homeless.
Then the rest is history. They moved in and they're very happy and thankful that MHP was to step in during their time of need.
I think MHP is a wonderful organization because without them, we wouldn't have a place to live.
It makes me emotional, just knowing that we were able to do something for them.
Without MHP, I wouldn't be here talking to you. It renewed my faith in people.
morning, everyone. I'm Dora Aminata Kellogg. You see, I just downsized and moved from MHP's Edinburgh house to MHP newly opened Colonnade Apartments in Tacoma Park, Maryland. I'm profoundly grateful for the warmth and support I've found here. I'm here to share a piece of my life with you. A deeply personal story that is close to my heart. My story began in Sierra Leone, West Africa, where I was raised in a loving family. I ventured out into the world, building my own family and a successful businesses. A pharmacy, a supermarket, and a store. Life was good, but in 1996, everything changed. While on my first visit to America, at the suggestion of my daughter, war broke out in my country, leaving me stranded here in Maryland. I faced a hard choice: certain death if I return, or uncertain path of sharing over in America. I chose the latter and began taking English courses and attending nursing school. Life, however, had challenges in store for me. My husband, still in Africa, died. I have major medical challenges and later financial ruin because I was unable to work. And then much later, in the midst of these hardships, I found love again and remarried. Mr. Kellogg and I faced life struggles together until illness took his ability to work and we lost our home. Mr. Kellogg soon passed from the battle with cancer. With no home, I live by an old expression: to live by faith and not by sight. My minister heard about my hardship, told me about MHP, who lovingly helped me with housing I could afford. If I only depend on my narrow vision of life, I wouldn't have a hopeful story to share with you this morning. I'll be too defeated to even try. Looking at me, you could never know what I've been through. As another saying goes, all lizards lie flat on the ground, but you cannot tell the one suffering from stomach pain. My faith had allowed me to get back up and keep going. I thank the heavens that an organization like MHP exists, for even with my resourcefulness, I could never have imagined the life I have now, having been through so much. MHP didn't just help me, they saved me. Like a dying plant given life, I found hope. Staff like Ms. Brownette and so many others helped me, guide me through the process, and kept me informed and encouraged. And to the power of community and kindness, I always believe in giving, even though I have little, because I know that kindness sown today blooms into unexpected blessings tomorrow. I hope that whatever you can, you will give generously to MHP for its continued presence and programs. Life happens, and continues. Sometimes, despite our best efforts, we may find ourselves of need. From the bottom of my heart, thank you for being a part of my story, for helping me grow again. Together, let's continue to nurture hope and create opportunities for others. Thank you for listening, caring, and being a light of hope in the lives of people like me and so many others. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Zachary Hailu, and I'm in the 6th grade at Our Lady of Lourdes School in Bethesda, Maryland, where I've been since 1st grade. So, after announcements, our school day always starts with a joke, then a quote. Here's a joke for you. Why do bees have sticky hair? No idea? Because they use honeycombs. Get it? Thank you. Now, for a quote my principal, Mr. David Long, came up with. You can be grateful. You can be anything. Mr. Long says quotes are like pep talks, setting the stage for our future. I really like this quote because it reminds me of my parents. They moved here from Ethiopia, a country in the Horn of Africa, for a different life and more opportunities. And even though it's been hard, they're grateful for the change because they wanted more for our family. Home, for me, has always been at 7610 Maple Avenue, one of MHP's communities in Tacoma Park. It's got this awesome mural drawn by students and a great playground, but not everyone is as fortunate. Sometimes, when we're out, my dad and I see a homeless person. I always ask if we can just spare $1. Makes me sad that not everyone has a home. But I have a plan for those struggling with housing. First, let's be more considerate and not ignore them. Everyone has value, and they all need our mercy. Then, let's help them find jobs, maybe even at MHP. And if they work there, they would have enrichment programs, like the ones I belong to. I volunteer at MHP's Homework Club, where I've attended since kindergarten. Now, as a volunteer there, I can start on my student service and learning hours, which are not due until high school, but I don't want to wait out till the last minute. One day, while in Homework Club at the Community Life Program, our teacher, Miss Connie Bruzuela, who was just on the TV, told us about an essay contest for kids put on by a housing organization that MHP belongs to. Even though we had a couple of days to finish it, I wanted to get it in right away. All the kids were writing like crazy because of the $500 reward, which was tempting. 2 weeks later, my mom got an email that I won. She was shocked because I never told her I entered. I just didn't think I'd win. In addition to the money, I read my essay at the program, and I also won a day at the golf course, which was my first and favorite time. Now, I might just be a 6th grader, but I've got big dreams. I want to attend Harvard, study astrophysics, work at NASA, and become an astronaut. My parents, MHP, and my school helped me dream big. Here's another cool thing. I got a letter back from the White House. I wrote to the president about school shootings and shared some of my other ideas because I worry about security, not just in schools, but everywhere. I'm glad I don't also have to worry about housing and housing we can afford, thanks to MHP. This is important because it takes your mind off the worry, which can cause stress. It also means you can use money on other important things, like food, water, clothing, and etc. I love my community and school. MHP takes the burden away from families like mine. I'm excited about my future, where I strive to be a great person so I can help others. I'll end with another joke and quote. Why did the Scarecrow win an award? No one? Because he was outstanding in his field. Get it? And for my quote, I like, home is where our story begins. Thank you for helping families like mine and numerous others dream big so that their story has a happy ending. Thank you.
So now you see why MHP is so close to my heart. I absolutely love MHP because they make home possible. And they care. They care about the people who live in their affordable housing. They have so many programs to help children develop academically, socially, and artistically. We just saw the example. They help seniors like me. They help me meet my needs that I never, ever considered just a few years ago. A few minutes ago, we heard Rob talk about how important MHP is in the community, providing not just shelter, but a place to truly call home for almost 3,000 low-income families. And it is a privilege to ask you to join me today in making a significant investment in MHP programs so the organization can continue to make home possible for more families in more neighborhoods in our community. And young people can do more than just dream. They can dream of a brighter future, and then they can live those dreams. Along those lines, co-host Tom Bozzuto and I are thrilled to announce the Making Home Possible campaign. It's a bold undertaking that will publicly launch in 2024, but you're hearing it today, right now, and you're hearing it first. We are more than 2/3 of the way there. Now comes the big final push, and these funds will double our affordable homes, expand wraparound services that help families thrive, and support resident-led housing advocacy. Bill?
Thank you, Jan. As you can see, MHP's goal to build a stronger foundation, to expand its programs, and provide a stable future for the organization and the families and communities it serves. So if you're inspired by what you've seen and heard today, and I certainly believe many of you are, thank you so much. I'm yet inspired again. And I hope you will consider joining me as a member of the Circle of Builders Giving Society by making a pledge of at least $1,000 a year for 5 years. The key to building the stable foundation of MHP programs is sustainable funding. Multi-year pledges are essential for that foundation for MHP to strengthen and expand its programs. The organization needs to be able to plan several years out and count on the funding to be there. Multi-year pledges provide that stability. I would like to acknowledge all the individuals and companies who have already joined the Circle of Builders by making multi-year pledges to the Making Home Possible for All campaign. There are 99 of you, and I'm sure we'll have many more joining that campaign today. Special thanks to those supporting at the foundation level, committing $10,000 or more annually. The Bozzuto Group, John and Bonnie Clark, Jean Costa, Elm Street Development, Helene Goldberg, Mike and Tracy Schlegel, Gene Siegel and Tom Trainer, and Jeffrey Slavin. Jan?
And thank you to Bill and Anya Colwell. That's for their foundation support. Now, we recognize those at the stepping stone level, committing $5,000 annually. Leon Andres, Buck Construction, Mohammed and Elaine L. Kawas, Kathy and Brett Gates, Tad Harris, Christine Kaufman, Negril Jamaican Eatery, Negril, get that right, Jean and Lauren Sachs, Larry and Sulima Stewart. Bill?
Thank you. Let's have all current Circle of Builders in the room stand for a round of applause. Thank you so much for your support. As we go through the 3 levels of giving in MHP's Circle of Builders Giving Society, please note there's a special section on the back of the pledge card for those of you who are already members of the society. So, pledge card here, you'll see that. Your table captains will be handing out this information now. We invite you to consider paying off your pledge early or increasing the amount of your pledge. Please take a look and consider it. Now I'd like to ask the table captains to pass out the pledge cards, starting at the top of the card. Make sure everybody has those. Okay. So, starting at the top of the card, the Giving Society pledge level names are meant to give you a sense of the impact of your contribution. Your contribution will go toward the unrestricted operating funds. Jan?
The first level, the first giving level, the circle level, is a pledge of $1,000 a year for 5 years. That translates into a little over $80 a month. Your gift at this level would fund more than 100 books, new books, for our Play and Learn program, which prepares preschool-aged children for kindergarten. At this stage, a child's brain development proceeds at a faster pace than it will at any other stage of life. However, 1 in 4 American children come from low-income homes and may not enter kindergarten with the academic readiness needed for a great start. They may need that extra support. We all know reading is fundamental to learning, and teachers rely on new books and supplies every year. With your support, we can purchase new books that excite all of our students. Let's close this gap. Bill?
The stepping stone level is a pledge of $5,000 for 5 years. Your contribution of $5,000 will allow MHP to provide a dynamic new program for more than 400 students enrolled in MHP's community life programs. This could be a new partnership with an enrichment organization such as Nature Forward or Story Tapestries. As you heard from Zachary earlier, these programs plant seeds of passion and learning, allowing students to discover their talents and explore new possibilities, such as creating art and observing science in the natural world. Your pledge will help students take charge of their futures and discover what they are good at, laying the stepping stones for a successful life for each student, and leveling the playing field for more equitable education throughout our community. Jan?
The third giving level, the foundation level, is a pledge of $10,000 for 5 years. Your pledge at this level would get us one step closer to our goal of doubling our affordable housing portfolio by 2030. And we have a model that works. Now we must scale up to meet the magnitude of the need. To reach our targets, MHP will prioritize development opportunities where we can rehabilitate or build at least 100 new homes in one location. Having more residents in each development allows us to invest more in our wraparound programs and services for residents of all ages. Since our founding, we have housed more than 16,000 people, impacting lives from generation to generation. Like Mamie, like the St. Jour family, Miss Dora, and me. We currently house more than 4,000 people. With your support, we can double this, housing 8,000 people by 2030. Your foundation level pledge will provide greater stability for more families and improve equity in our region. Bill?
If you are a new member of the Circle of Builders Giving Society, thank you for your generous support. Although I began by introducing the Circle of Builders program, we certainly understand that you may prefer to give at a different level. Below the Circle of Builders section on the pledge card, you can indicate how much you would like to give and how many years you would like to continue making that donation. Whatever level of support you can provide, we ask that you make the first payment on your pledge today. You can pay by check or credit card. If you are paying by credit card, please be sure to include your billing address. Perhaps you would like to make a gift of stock or something else, or would like to stay involved in MHP in other ways. If so, please check the next box, the one that says, I would like to stay involved with MHP. Please know that whatever you have given today, including a gift of your time, we greatly appreciate your support for the individuals, families, and communities that we serve. Let's give a few minutes now to finish filling out your pledge cards. When you're finished, please pass your envelopes back to your table captain.
After today's program, I'm sure you can understand why my colleagues and I want to be involved with MHP. Now that you've gotten a closer look at the work of this wonderful organization, we would love for you to learn more about our Making Home Possible for All campaign. Please be sure to take a folder with you when you leave. With your help, we can double our impact over the next 10 years. Jan?
Thank you for joining us today. Thank you for caring, for making your contributions in a way that is most meaningful to you. You're helping to build a stronger community and making a difference in the lives of those who need it the most. If you'd like to see more of our work in action, please join us on December 6th for a Building Dreams tour at Pembridge Square Apartments in Wheaton. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you.